Hello everyone, welcome to Potato Gaming. In this video, we will see 16 game PCs similar to Baldurs Gate 3.
Discover Gadric's secret. Find out what it is that makes him invincible
When it was officially released on August 3rd, Baldurs Gate 3 was a huge success, starting from touching the number of 800,000 players who play simultaneously on Steam. It also gets a high score that is almost near perfect on review sites. Baldurs Gate 3 is the third title in the Baldurs Gate series, which is based on the Dungeons & Dragons tabletop RPG system. So in this video we will see games that have similar mechanisms, features, or gameplay like Baldurs Gate 3.
But you have something he doesn't. Allies worth having.
First we got Baldurs Gate 1 and 2. What comes closest in resemblance to Baldurs Gate 3 is, of course, the previous iterations of the game. Even though Baldurs Gate 3 has obvious differences, such as better graphics, turn-based gameplay, and other modern features. However, Baldurs Gate 1 and 2 are cult classic RPGs that you can enjoy until this day. Second is Divinity Original Sins 1 and 2.
Paddle off. Maybe. He stands. There's some. Why don't we make a deal then? You have asked that he live. Please.
Divinity Original Sins and Baldurs Gate 3 come from the same developer, Larian Studio. Therefore, you won't be surprised if you feel that the game mechanics in Baldurs Gate 3 feel familiar to Divinity Original Sins 2. There are a lot of similarities between Baldurs Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sins, such as game engine, turn-based gameplay, gameplay perspective, art styles, and user interfaces. Number 3 is Pathfinder Kingmaker.
Outdoory, we're looking for heroes. Who are the outdoory anyway, rich folk?
If you can't be patient.
The gameplay is modeled on the Pathfinder role-playing game and inspired by classic computer RPGs such as Baldurs Gate and Neverwinter Nights. It features a real-time with pause or turn-based combat system and an isometric perspective. One of the game's distinguishing features is its emphasis on realm building, with the player's decisions as a local lord affecting the rest of the gameplay as they are embroiled in a world of political intrigue and adventure.
Let's try this way. This should do it.
Number 4 is Underrail. Underrail is an old-school turn-based isometric indie role-playing game that focuses on exploration and combat. It features turn-based combat, character customization, and an item crafting system. The player controls a single character, whose development and interactions with the game world are the focus of the gameplay. Number 5 is Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
Greedily eyeing the northern realms just across the Yaruga. In light of the threat, the realm's sovereigns met in summit.
This game is a spin-off of the Witcher game franchise. Thronebreaker is a single-player role-playing game set in the world of The Witcher that combines narrative-driven exploration with unique puzzles and card battle mechanics. You take control of Queen Meve, the ruler of Lyria and Rivia, during the events that precede the Witcher video game. As the leader of one of the northern kingdoms, Meve leads a small opposition force that must battle and build alliances to take the north back. Number 6, Planescape, Torment.
Playing corpse, or you putting the blinds on the dusties? I thought you were a debtor for sure.
Planescape, Torment is primarily story-driven, with combat not being prominently featured. The protagonist, known as the Nameless One, is an immortal man who forgets everything if killed. The game focuses on his journey through the city of Sigil and other planes to reclaim his memories of previous lives and to discover why he was made immortal in the first place.
Die.
Number 7 is Pillars of Eternity.
Whole area's crawling with hut-dwelling types who'd be happy to stick an axe in you.
Pillars of Eternity sees players assume the role of a character defined as a watcher, a person able to see and interact with the souls of people, viewing the memories of those deceased or communing with those who linger, operating on role-playing mechanics that include party-based real-time with paused tactical gameplay. The game is played from a fixed isometric viewpoint consisting of 3D models against two-dimensional pre-rendered backdrops. Number 8 is Disco Elysium.
Hear a jingle. Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pants.
Disco Elysium is a role-playing video game that features an open world and dialogue-heavy gameplay mechanics. The game is presented in an isometric perspective in which the player character is controlled. The player takes the role of a detective who suffers from alcohol and drug-induced amnesia on a murder case. Disco Elysium is a non-traditional role-playing game featuring very little combat. Instead, events are resolved through skill checks and dialogue trees via a system of 24 skills that represents different aspects of the protagonist, such as his perception and pain threshold. Number 9 is Dragon Age Origin.
Yes, my lady. Here they come!
Dragon Age Origins is a role-playing game played from a third-person perspective. The player is a Grey Warden, part of an order of elite fighters, whose task is to defeat the Archdemon and save the world from a disastrous event called the Blight. The player can talk and interact with both party members and other non-playable characters. A dialogue tree offers several dialogue options for the player to select. Through conversation, the player can unlock unique quests and dialogue revealing the lore of Dragon Age. It can also be used to persuade or intimidate other characters. Number 10 is Tyranny.
Will do.
The game starts after the evil overlord Kairos has already conquered the world, and where the player character, a Fatebinder, is one of the higher-ranked members in Kairos' power structure. As a Fatebinder, the player must travel the world to help restore order after Kairos' victory, and make decisions on how to handle the various factions of survivors, which can affect what companions, spells, and abilities the player may select from.
I'm not. Ready for this?
Number 11 is Neverwinter Nights.
Finally, you're up. I was afraid you were going to sleep all day.
The gameplay centers on the development of a player character through adventuring, who ultimately becomes the hero of the story. EPC is tasked with defeating a powerful cult, collecting 4 reagents required to stop a plague, and thwarting an attack on the city of Neverwinter. Located along the Sword Coast of Faerun, in the Forgotten Realms campaign setting of Dungeons and Dragons. Number 12 is Vagas, the Riven Realms.
What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching them.
Vagas is a role-playing game with a narrative focus, open-world exploration, and strong elements of strategy. The player takes the role of a Vagas, a caravan leader who strives to survive in a strange and perilous dark fantasy world by leading a traveling company on all kinds of ventures. A vast realm is yours to explore, filled with unique locations, strange factions, and a colorful cast of characters. Number 13 is the Age of Decadence. The player can choose from 8 backgrounds and professions for their character at the start of the game. These range from the honor-bound knight to the crafty grifter. The player can also choose to start with no background at all. Different backgrounds result in very different gameplay styles. A background determines a character's initial relationship to various factions. Combat in the Age of Decadence is turn-based and focuses heavily on tactical options. The options available partially depend on the attributes, skills, and equipment of the character. For instance, hammers allow a character to knock down enemies. Axes can split shields, swords can disarm opponents, daggers ignore armor, and so on. Number 14 is Expeditions, Viking. Expeditions, Viking is set during the Viking Age. Players take the role of a clan chieftain and can become either conquerors, merchants, or diplomat. Vikings were known not only as violent warriors, but as savvy tradesfolk. So you can choose a violent or make a peace way to gain wealth. Side with various factions, be they Norsemen, Picts, or Angles. Be mindful of your choices. The stories of your actions may bring others to fear you. Number 15, Wasteland 2, Director's Cut.
Roger that, Echo 1. When you reach the area where Ace's body...
The game is set in an alternate history timeline, in which a nuclear war between the United States and Soviet Union took place in 1998 in relation to an impact event involving a cluster of meteors that sparked a global nuclear war. Wasteland 2 features a semi-overhead view with a rotatable camera. It is a turn-based and party-based role-playing game with tactical combat. The player's party has room for 7 characters, including the 4-player designed characters and up to 3 non-player characters. Number 16 is Inquisitor is a unique blend of action-oriented combat with a deep and involving tale of betrayal, torture, madness, and infernal damnation. Put your wits to the test as you collect evidence against possible heretics, and put them to trial once they have been charged. Use the might of the Inquisition to extract a confession from your subjects, but be warned, use your power wisely or you will face the consequences. If a gritty old-school open-ended isometric RPG is what you're looking for, look no further. Inquisitor will provide you with hours of gameplay and a dark, involving story.